Shivi, hi, it's good to have you with us. How have you
Hi,
been?
Ashu. Thank you so much. Great being here.
Hello.
Thank you for the
Uh,
opportunity.
Shivi, I would have loved to do this in person. Unfortunately for us, Corona has made our lives difficult, and would have loved to do this in person.
No, for sure. I think it has been a long time. We are all packed inside our home. So this is the
Right.
best way to meet and
And
talk to
stay safe.
people. So I can
Right.
understand. Yes.
So, Shivi, I think it's a very interesting topic that we're discussing today, right? We're discussing the journey of you building Clear Deco, right? And I think it's been an interesting journey, right? I mean, I've had the opportunity of knowing you at a personal level, right? And of course, I know some of those challenging and very very interesting times, and a lot of those excitement zones that you've been through while building this up, and we'll try and sort of capture all of that today in the session, and as we discuss this. But before we dive into it, Shivi, why don't you take us through your background? I mean, you chose to be an entrepreneur, but there's a background to it, right? So why don't you take us through that, and then we jump into
Sure.
the clear
So
deco.
Ashu, it has been a very sudden kind of decision to be an entrepreneur. It was nothing very much planned, or I was prepared for it. Nothing was of that sort. So
Right.
and I'm not an IITian, not an IIM guy. Very very humble. Very very just like any other person, average student. I was nothing of a topmost very academic kind of a guy. So
Right.
I did my engineering in information technology, and then I did my masters in marketing, MBA.
Right.
And post that, I was working with HDFC Bank. So I got placed just like others, and I was trying to get into a branded company, and then working there as we are taught in MBA.
Right.
But somehow I was not very comfortable, and I did not like the atmosphere as well as the job profile which I was given. So I was thinking to be to do something else
Right.
apart from just core sales in banking domain. So I was
Right.
doing sales in the bank, and I wanted to do something else because I did my MBA in marketing. So I wanted to be from the marketing side
Right.
primarily. So I was just meeting people, and I was just trying to explore any opportunity possible. So I there was a one good opportunity that I got. This was 2012 2011.
Right.
And so there was a startup called as Wobby Parker. Wobby Parker is now $1 billion company based out of
Wow.
US.
Wow.
But during 2011 2012, they were fairly new, kind of a room based startup, very very new, and they were trying to set up a company in US. So they had a project called as Vision Spring, which is kind of a charitable project or not for profit project,
Right.
Which is focused on providing primary eye care services to the poor people, or the bottom of the pyramid people across emerging nations. So
Right.
one of my professors told me that, Shivi, there is a project which is going on, and would you like to explore this opportunity to work with them? So I thought that let me just look at it. And I thought that it would be really really good, and it would be really really easy as compared to the sales in bank.
Right.
But and I joined them. This was
Right.
again 2012, after a short stint with HDFC, and I joined them as a project executive in Delhi. And I was part of their India team, which was very very small team, kind of a 8-10 member team.
Right.
And I was immediately thrown away on the field. So I was not prepared. I thought that it would be a US based company. So I thought that I would get a very good profile and I would get a very good setup. But somehow I was again thrown in the field, and I so my work KRA was to go in the villages, in smaller areas, in rural towns, and mobilize community there, talk to people, and set up eye camps. And to do eye testing. I was also working with eye hospitals in district level and rural areas in order to provide eyeglasses to them, and also help in getting the patients treated under tertiary and secondary eye care, which means surgeries and all. So I did not like it, frankly speaking. I have never told it before, but I didn't like it initially. I was, I think for 6-7 months, I was not liking the profile. But then somehow, I don't know what happened. I was completely on field, traveling states and villages and cities across India. And it was not only limited to North. I was posted in South as well. I was posted in East, Center, everywhere. And somehow I started feeling the need, and I started understanding the major problem. So we were doing these camps. These were huge camps, like 3,000 people being mobilized on a single week, 5,000 people. These are like 20 villages, 30 villages being brought down on a single sarpanch house, or let's say a government school, where we were doing these eye tests. And I saw that almost 80% people had issues with their eyes related to power. They could not see properly, or they had cataract, or they had other eye diseases, and none of them were getting treated or even thinking to get treatment unless they were getting blind. So that was very shocking experience. Initially, I ignored. I thought that it might be one or two areas which would be more affected. But then when I saw this trend across India and across geographies, south, north, east, west, then I realized that there is some issue with the sector, and why people don't wear glasses. And we deep dived. We had international agencies, LaborLink and all, who did third-party surveys for us. We did impact studies. We did studies related to the penetration of eyeglasses as well as penetration of eye care in India. I was working with Arvind and Shankara, which are the apex institutions in eye care in India, most prestigious. So I was lucky to have worked with them. So we did very good research, and then I started liking the project. I was very much involved. Eventually, and I rose as we started doing this work, because हम लोग एक्चुअली में कोर इम्पैक्ट करते थे. हम लोगों की कोई एक्सपेक्टेशन नहीं थी कस्टमर्स से या पब्लिक से कि हम लोग पैसा कमाएं, क्योंकि दिस वाज मोर ऑफ अ चैरिटेबल वर्क विच वी डिड. एंड हम लोग आई ग्लासेस देते थे, उनको बोलते थे कि आप आई ग्लासेस पहनिए, उनको समझाते थे. एडवोकेसी वाज अ मेजर कंसर्न. Nowadays also there is huge concern in villages. People don't adopt new technology or new products or new services easily, because there's a lot of taboo, there's a lot of resistance in terms of expenditure. So it was not a very easy or cakewalk kind of a work. Though we were not charging much, we were selling eyeglasses for 100 to 150 rupees. But still, we were facing a lot of challenges in people accepting the product, people willing to pay at least 100 rupees for a product. And even though if we would have given them free also, we have given free eyeglasses as well at few places, people were not wearing them. So over a period of 4-5 years, I have done this core field work. I'm not any core eye care professional. I don't have degree of eye care related work, but somehow I was working on the field and involved in this kind of work. So it caught my interest overall. And I was leading India business for Vision Spring and Wobby's initiative for a long time. I was doing all the partnerships. I was doing all the alliances with CSR bodies across India. So I cracked the Mahindra CSR business when I was meeting Sheetal and Pawanji from Mahindra Group, and they had projects of Nanni Kali, which is a major project of Mahindra CSR.
Right.
So we were trying to bridge the gap, and we were trying to get eye care involved within their CSR ecosystem. We worked with Apollo Tyres Foundation. We had major projects with Apollo Tyres, where Apollo Tyres was trying to provide eyeglasses to their drivers. You would be amazed. People don't know this, that we have around 50,000 truck drivers going in and out of Delhi NCR every day. These are commercial trucks, and almost 80% of these drivers have vision problems, and they cannot see beyond 100 meters while they are driving, and they drive heavy truckloads day in and day night, which is very, very unsafe from the accident perspective, because they do not see well. So we were also shocked when we did this, that there's so much of potential, there's so much of requirement, then why don't people use this product? And this is a very simple product. There's no technology behind it, there's no science behind it. It has been here for 1000 years, eyeglasses. And eyeglasses is a very simple product. You can just use it, and everyone uses it in urban setting, but I don't know why rural was not using it. So that was a very enlightenment kind of a feeling for me, and I understood that I think this is a huge opportunity where we can really make impact. And during that time, while I was with Wobby, I saw that Lenskart was doing very well, and a few other players started coming up. And I saw how they rose, how they started focusing on eyeglasses. We have never thought of eyewear as a product category or a lifestyle product category in our life. We always wear 4 shirts, 5 pants, jeans, shoes, and we think about all the things, mobile phones and everything, but we never think of changing our eyeglasses, because it is a need-based product. So it has, if we have a glass, if we have a spectacle, we never think of getting another pair, or because it has never been advocated like that. So I think 4 or 5 years I was with them, and I then was involved with sourcing from China and other parts, and I was managing their other nations business as well. So when I saw this, and I got an opportunity to go to US, talk to Neil, the founders of Wobby, and how they have built a value-driven brand for consumers in US, battling out bigger players like Ray-Ban, Luxottica, and others. So it was very, very good. Later on, I was really enjoying my work, and then I realized that we were doing ultimately charity in India, and there is no value creation which is permanent. So what happens is, when we do projects, we did projects for, let's say, 2 months, 3 months, and then we were again out of that district or that zone for another, let's say, half of the year. And we were not able to serve the regular demand of the public. So I think that was one major trigger which pushed me to push my organization to do something for profit initiative which is sustainable and which is long term and which is permanent in those areas. So I talked to my management, but they were not very keen to do anything which is kind of a for profit. So I thought that this is the time where can I build something? Can I make a business, make a company which will also have impact as well have it should be sustainable, because I don't want to do just charity and run after money every time. I want to have a sustainable business and create value for the customers at the ground level in those areas where there is nothing available. So there were two major problems which we serviced. One was accessibility. So wherever the pockets where there were no optical stores or eye testing setup or eye checkup services available. We focused on those areas. And
Right.
second was affordability, that the product and the service available should be very, very affordable. And we had a very good survey done on the income levels of the customers, of the people we were targeting, and
Right.
we understood that these customers had hardly 1,000 rupees to 2,000 rupees on an annual basis for a
Right.
disposable kind of a product category. So we thought that how can we use that as an advantage to push towards adaptation of eyeglasses as a product category. And
Right.
that's how I
Clear
think
the
that
core.
has been core journey, core excitement for me, and that
Right.
has been the core trigger for me that I wanted to do something. And
Right.
then I saw Lenskart. I saw so many good startups building up.
Right.
So I was encouraged
Right.
after to look at their stories, that when these people can do it, why
Right.
can't we do it? What
Right.
is stopping us? When there is so much of need in the market, and India is kind of one nation which has so much of demand and so much of
Correct.
a kind of a domestic demand.
Correct.
And people want products, and we can create value in the ecosystem, then why not, let's jump into it. And we left
Right.
jobs, me and
Awesome.
my co-founder, we left jobs, and it started in
You know,
2017 or so. Yeah.
Shivi, I have always believed, right? I mean, there is, of course, there's been a huge excitement around, people getting out of colleges and starting up in colleges, right? I have
Yeah.
very firmly believed that, I mean, there are professionals who are out there who are, building for large enterprises, and large enterprises behave the way they do, right? And for some reason, these people don't take the risk of stepping out and setting up, right? But there's just so much more intelligence in that entire experience, right? And phenomenal organizations can come out of it. And when I hear you, it only sort of basically corroborates the same point, right? That when you're out there, you're observing so many things, you are facing those challenges. Why not create an enterprise out of it, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's a very interesting point that you highlighted, Shivi. Shivi, my you at Clear Deco, you've had a very interesting journey, right? It's evolved, right? It's changed
Yeah.
shape, evolved, right? There is a certain model that you went out with. That model has evolved over a period of time, right? Why don't you take us to, the journey of Clear Deco, right? In terms of how it started. I mean, of course, the market you highlighted, right? The market was very, very clear. But of course, when you try and tackle the market, which corner do you hold becomes very tricky, right? And I think over a period of time, you tend to optimize it, right? And I think that's happened in your case as well. So why don't you take us through that bit of
Sure.
how the product evolved, and what is the current stage of the product, and bits of that.
So, see, you are 100% right, and no business is in the shape in which they always start. So it has every business evolves, and so as we. So it was very exciting in the initial days, and then while I was working with the Wobby and my previous organization, I could not understand the nitty gritties or the issues which would come from the organizational point of view while running the organization. I was because I was never involved with the resources planning. I was
Right.
never involved with the financial planning. So I think those were the major issues which struck us really, really hard, and we were not ready for it. Uh, I think we started Clear Deco from just like others start from online perspective.
Right.
We had our online marketplace up and running very soon, and we started selling eyeglasses to people through online domain. But very soon we realized that this particular product is not a very online friendly product, because eye testing does not have an online solution as of now. So when you want to get your eyeglasses, you need to get your eyes tested. So
Mhm.
we had our fair share of troubles with our initial business model. So we were not able to generate proper footfalls over an online domain. We were not able to generate profits. We were really, really burning money in the initial days. It was our own money, so we invested our own money, our savings,
Right.
and we were really, really struck bad over a period of 1 year. Initial year, I could not understand that we are trying to do everything. We are trying to provide good quality product. We are trying to give the product to the doorstep of the customers in very, very small towns, and we were getting orders from small areas, small district towns. So I think we were getting the customers there, and customers were seeing us and utilizing our product, but we could not understand that why we are not making money. So later on we realized that there are the prescription which customer gives for making eyeglasses online is never correct, because people do not keep record of their prescription. So you would imagine you wear glasses, right? So what has been your prescription 2 years back, and what has been your prescription now? And if you have a cylindrical portion which is little technical, so there is an excess associated with it. So people fumble with it. And that's where we were facing the major challenge. We were getting close to 35 to 40% returns, due to which we were burning money. And we immediately realized that in order to build a sustainable, profitable business, because we cannot keep burning money, we had very, very less money at that point of time. We need to build a product into offline first, and then support it through online mechanism. So kind of an O2O business model, but it should be offline driven first. So we started analyzing when we move into offline, it means stores. So how can we put stores when we do not have 1 lakh rupees even in our bank account? And literally we didn't have any money. Me and my partner were working. We left our jobs. We were not earning. We had only one kind of an employee or our kind of a trustworthy person who started with us, but no one else. And we were doing all the work was being done by me and my partner alone. And there was a lot of work at that point of time. There was a lot of uncertainty that, and then we started realizing initial days, अरे यार ये क्या कर दिया हम लोगों ने, कंपनी खोल दी, we didn't have any plans, and क्या करें अब, पैसे नहीं है, प्लान नहीं है, समझ में नहीं आ रहा कैसे पाइवट करें, कैसे प्रोडक्ट को चेंज करें, बिजनेस मॉडल को चेंज करें, एंड whether that will be successful or not. And we left our jobs and everything, and there was so much of stress, there was so much of tensions, but somehow I think passion supersedes everything in life, which is my core learning. If you are passionate, you will face all the challenges, whatever however big they are. So I think I was very, very cool and calm from the perspective कि यार चश्मा तो बिकेगा, और लोगों को चश्मा तो चाहिए at the end of the day, वरना लोग देखेंगे कैसे. So that drove us, and we started looking at the retail businesses, the retail industry, how retail functions. We started visiting local optical stores. India primarily, most 80% of the India is still unorganized in this sector, and people are dependent on local optical stores to get their eyeglasses. So we started looking at their functioning, talking to people. We were thrown stones at, and we were not at all encouraged. When we, मुझे याद है हम लोग दुकानों में जाते थे, हम पूछते थे भैया आपका धंधा कैसे चल रहा है, वो कह रहा है आपसे मतलब आप जाइए, ठीक है. फिर so people did not encourage. People don't want to discuss their problems. People don't want to tell their business success stories as well. So लोगों को लगता है कि क्यों ज्यादा बताना है, तो minimum possible communication होता था. So then but we were very much persistent, and हम लोग बहुत गए. हम लोग करीब 2000-3000 stores को personally visit किए हैं for approximately 4-5 months. We were on the field, we core field guys. So फिर हम लोगों ने देखा कि yes, there is an opportunity, and we can build a model around this. We can standardize this unorganized model, and we started putting up 100 to 200 square feet small format stores. So we understood that we do not want to go into tier 1 markets. We do not want to go into high street marketplaces, because there were many players. And there were very good solutions already available, and we wanted to serve the low income market, which is the mass market. So we wanted to be very close to the residential areas where we had dense populations, and plus we wanted to be very, very close to our customers who are our core target audience. So we thought that this local optical model बहुत अच्छा है, इसको standardize करना है, इसको थोड़ा सा better way में project करना है and run करना है. So we and then we didn't have money, so we started figuring out what is the franchisee model looks like, and how does a franchisee operates. We studied, we talked to many people, and then we evolved our franchisee model, and we thought that franchisee खोलते हैं. And फिर मैंने अपने इनिशियल तो फ्रेंचाइजी मिलेगा नहीं, आप ब्रांड नहीं हो, तो वो भी एक मेजर इशू आता था कि फ्रेंचाइजी पिच करते थे तो लोग कहते थे बॉस आप तो ब्रांड नहीं हो, हम आप में पैसा क्यों डालें. So मैंने अपने नेटवर्क के थ्रू I closed one franchisee initially, and I told one of my previous colleagues that you invest on me and you will never regret it. It was a hard call, and he invested. Luckily, thanks to him, that was our first store, which was opened in Ghaziabad, and we saw that that store was a very good success story for us, because we never thought that we will create our own stores, a kind of our brand stores. But then again, जैसे ही स्टोरी में ट्विस्ट आ गया, फिर से और स्टोर उतना अच्छा परफॉर्म नहीं किया, and we did not have that kind of success which was expected. And then we realized कि we finally realized that this is a trust based business. This is kind of a doctor based business. You don't change doctors. You don't change your family doctors, your family consultants, because you're very closely knit within that community, and we trust on them. So similar is like optician business, and we understood that people are not switching. People are not looking at Clear Dekho because they are not understanding कि Clear Dekho क्या value add create कर रहा है. So then we understood that it is more of an issue of creating awareness rather than delivery of the service. And then we started focusing on our marketing campaigns. How do we communicate? And at that point of time, we were completely out of cash, so we didn't have cash. और मुझे बिल्कुल एक्सपीरियंस नहीं था फंड रेजिंग कैसे होती है. मैंने उतनी स्टडी नहीं करी थी फंड रेजिंग के ऊपर, क्योंकि मैं थोड़ा सा बिजनेस में ज्यादा इन्वॉल्व था, और हम लोग वेरी मच फोकस्ड ऑन बिजनेस थे, बट वी कुड नॉट अंडरस्टैंड, वी कुड नॉट प्लान वेल ऑन आवर फंड रेजिंग पार्ट. एंड अचानक से पैसा खत्म हो गया, एंड वी वर सिटिंग वन डे इन आवर ऑफिस, very very sad day. We could not understand कि अब पैसा कहाँ से लाएंगे. And we have burnt our own money initially, so all the options from our side were over. And then we thought कि यार पैसा कैसे generate करें, and store is franchisee, so we have to give the fair share of money to franchisee first, forget about company. So and then an idea struck. So we were brainstorming, and this is a very very interesting story. Not many startups do this. We have done it, and we are very very proud of it. So me and my partner was sitting, and we were exploring options that marketing भी करनी है, स्टोर को प्रमोट भी करना है, अपने ब्रांड को भी प्रमोट करना है, और पैसे भी कमाने हैं. तो ये सारी चीजें एक साथ करनी है, और पैसा बर्न नहीं करना है, जीरो पैसा बर्न. सो हम लोगों ने सोचा कि व्हाट आर द टच पॉइंट्स, कहाँ पे पब्लिक इकट्ठा होती है. Where do the public gather? Is it mall? Is it festivals? It is camps? It is any other areas where public get gather on everyday basis or maybe weekly basis. So we thought, and we saw that
and your banking experience came in handy, is it?
Yeah. Yes. So and we saw that हम लोगों ने देखा कि हमारी जो मदर्स हैं, हमारी जो फैमिली मेंबर्स हैं, वो लोग वीकली मार्केट्स जाते हैं, जहाँ पे वो लोग डेली हाउस होल्ड नीड्स परचेज करते हैं, लाइक वेजिटेबल्स एंड एटसेट्रा, ग्रोसरीज एंड ऑल. At that point of time, online groceries were not at that kind of a penetration level which are now post COVID. So we saw that close to 5,000 people, 10,000 people were gathering in weekly market. These are like and in Delhi NCR, people who live in Delhi NCR would relate to these more. There are like Som Bazaar, Mangal Bazaar, Bazaar, ठीक है. और वहां पे इवनिंग में भयंकर रश होता है, मतलब इट इज ह्यूज. तो हम लोगों ने सोचा बॉस मिल गई हमें जगह, और हम लोग यहाँ पे अपना प्रमोशन करेंगे. एंड वी स्टार्टेड पुटिंग आवर कैनोपीज एंड टेंट्स एंड ऑल दोस थिंग्स. एंड यू वोंट इमेजिन, me and my partner were selling eyeglasses just beside a vendor who was selling aloo and pyaz. So it was quite embarrassing
Right.
initially, and we could not understand how do we. And there was none. No one has done this before in India.
Right.
No one has
Right.
sold eyeglasses in a vegetable market. We have done it,
Right.
and we could not get success for approximately a month. And people were looking at us, and people were like laughing at us, and they were like shocked. ये लोग कर क्या रहे हैं? मतलब
Right.
चश्मा कैसे, मतलब आप
I can imagine.
हेल्थ केयर प्रोडक्ट जो बहुत ही सोफिस्टिकेटेड एनवायरनमेंट में बिका है, उसको आप ऐसे इस तरह से ओपन में कैसे बेच सकते हैं, एंड
Right.
ओपन में कैसे प्रमोट कर सकते हैं. एंड दैट वाज रियली fascinating and a lifetime experience for us. And
Right.
you won't imagine, around after a month or 2 months, we sold our first eyeglass through that ready kind of, we call
Wow.
it as ready,
Right.
or thia. So and post that, for 8 months we did this activity.
Right.
It got huge success rate to our store, because we were
Right.
promoting our store and our brand.
Right.
And we also earned close to 1.5 lakh to 2 lakh rupees
Wow.
monthly. And
Wow.
we saved each penny. Each
Right.
penny we saved, we didn't and there was zero expense. This
Right.
was the best marketing activity I have ever seen in my life,
Right.
where we were earning money, we were promoting our brand, we were driving footfalls to our stores,
Right.
and we were earning money, net cash. And we saved each bit of money, and we saved around 10, 12 lakh rupees over a period of 7, 8 months. And we invested that money in the business.
Right.
And from that day, we started getting franchisee requests from those
Wonderful.
customers
Right.
who we were selling to eyeglasses. And then
Right.
uh, I think uh, I think that was the core trigger. It was really hard. It was not at
Right.
all easy. We had
Right.
huge troubles from our family and everything. So I think that was the initial days, difficult days, but we got good response overall,
Right.
and we started opening stores by stores. And then we attracted few investors as well, and we
Right.
raised our angel round in
Right.
2018,
Okay.
2017 end.
Right.
And since then, with God's grace, we have been growing. So I
Fantastic.
think currently we are into growth stage, I would say, and we are looking to expand. We had
Right.
our, I would also state post-COVID scenario later on when we
Right.
talk, but pre-COVID, I think our business has evolved multiple times. Our
Right.
franchisee business has evolved. Our retail has evolved a lot. And in fact, most importantly, that we got understood that what not to do. And what not to run after for short-term
Sure.
gains.
Sure.
And that's how I think we have been progressing.
Shivi, you've highlighted a lot of interesting points in the entire entire point that you sort of mentioned, right? Entire experience that you had of of being out there. But I think one point that really stands out, and this is something that I have questioned across my conversations around trust, right? I think for any brand to go out and create trust is the most important and yet the most difficult, right? And I think irrespective of whatever you, I mean, it's a combination of pretty much everything, your values, ethos, your product planning, your product quality, your entire feedback system, I mean, the entire thing, right? And I'm going to touch on that, towards a little later in the conversation, right? But
Sure.
how does Clear Deco look like post COVID, right? I mean, COVID has really disrupted everything that Pete set out, right? And I'm sure, you've been in a retail environment, you were doing a lot of these stores and stuff like that, right? What has COVID done to the business? Is there a new shape that Clear Deco has taken? Is there a different priority that you're doing, or are you doing it? Are you cutting it in a different way? Take us to that.
So I think when COVID struck us, it struck us really deep, and it struck us really bad. We are, as I've told you, that we are offline first company and online second company. So
Sure.
our fairly business is retail oriented, and we are very much present on the ground on daily
Sure.
basis, and we need to serve customers physically.
Right.
So initial days, so as usual, just like others, we
Sure.
were got shut down, and all the business got shut down, all the
Right.
stores got shut down
Right.
temporarily. And there was so much of panic around. There was so much of panic with franchisees. There was so much of panic with employees. So with so much of panic amongst ourselves,
Right.
investors, and we were not able to understand whether we will recover, because these were the initial days of COVID, March 20, April 20. But somehow someone told me that, boss, अगर आपको चश्मा नहीं है आपके पास तो क्या आप अपना मोबाइल फोन या कंप्यूटर देख सकते हो? तो मैंने सोचा नहीं, आप नहीं देख सकते। अगर आपकी पावर इस तरह की है कि आपको नहीं दिखता है तो नहीं देख सकते। उसने बोला कि वन ऑफ माय फ्रेंड्स टोल्ड मी दैट डोंट वरी, अभी बिजनेस होल्ड पे है, लोगों को चश्मा चाहिए और लोग चश्मा लेंगे, आप टेंशन मत लेना, आप just have patience. So I think that was a very good promise, which I understood that we are lucky to be in an industry which is a very very important product category from the people's perspective, and people can defer their eyeglasses but they cannot avoid them. So so I thought so that gained confidence in us. But yes, हम लोगों को बहुत loss हुआ, हमारे कुछ franchisees back out किए because they were really panicked, and they told us that they don't want to continue. They had their own issues with their family members and everything. So that happened to us. We closed down few stores. We also took a hit on our pay, and we also but we were very lucky that our employees, our team is very very cooperative. Everyone took a hit from founder to the last level, and we all contributed because we wanted to survive the phase. Being retail oriented, it takes a lot of resources to recover from the such kind of areas. And the best part of COVID was, which you can see on my screen, is Clear Dekho at Home. So I think we there was a time around April, we were sitting on a Zoom call and we were discussing कि अब क्या next क्या है, मतलब कुछ तो अलग होना चाहिए ना। तो हमने सोचा कि यार रिटेल अभी फंक्शन नहीं करेगा, बट लोगों को चश्मा चाहिए। एंड कुछ एंड वी हैड फ्यू इनबाउंड कॉल्स आल्सो, कस्टमर्स वर टेलिंग कि मेरे फादर का चश्मा टूट गया है एंड उनको दिखता नहीं है, प्लीज आप चश्मा कैसे देंगे। तो सो आई आस्क्ड देम दैट कि कैसे दे सकते हैं। तो उन्होंने बोला आप घर पे आ जाइए, कस्टमर्स ने बोला आप घर पे आ जाइए, वी कैन गेट द ग्लासेस। सो वी थॉट दैट आई थिंक दिस इज अ वेरी गुड avenue, and we explored, we did brainstorm, and we talked to the team, we talked to our optometrist and people at the ground level ki how do we go to home if we want to, and how do we take retail to the people's place and not get people outside, and how do we do eye testing at home, how do we deliver eyeglasses at home, how do we maintain our quality standards and everything while providing. And that's where our second pivot happened, major pivot, which was Clear Dekho at Home. So we started doing home eye checkup services. We started providing glasses at home. Then we evolved into Clear Dekho at Workplace. So whoever were working at workplace, we started doing checkups at workplace. And then we also realized that if schools are open, or they were not open in fact, but kids at home require eyeglasses. And I think one good thing happened with us was that post COVID, everyone is on screen. So from old to young, everyone is on screen. You cannot avoid screen now. Okay, so how do you watch screen? Through your eyes, right? So so eyes is the most important aspect of your body now. If you don't take care of your eyes, you are gone. So beyond COVID, black fungus and all the things which have been happening, there is eye care, which is also very very important. And we saw that people started looking at protective eyewear. People started ordering eyeglasses for protection from screen time, and it helps. It helps to ease your eyes through the 7-8 hours of time which you are on screen, and those rays which really pains you, and you get your headaches and all. So I think we got a new set of customers, one through COVID, which were the customers who didn't require eyeglasses but now require eyeglasses because they don't have power in their eyes, but they want zero power Blu-ray protection eyeglasses. We saw that we can go to homes. No need for people to come to stores, but stores can be at home. So I think that has been the core learning and core evolution which has happened, and our business has grown close to you won't imagine, 500 times. I'm talking about at home business. Our business has grown 500 times since last year.
Right.
And we have had really, really good experience while visiting us. And in 2021, we had like 7-8 teams visiting homes on everyday basis, and people were calling, people were asking, we can visit, and we do follow sanitization protocols, all the COVID protocols, so that safety is more concerned, and we also want to put safety first rather than eye testing. So safe, safe environment, and in how we manage this activity, and how do we provide this activity within the safety framework, that is of the utmost importance. And I think that has helped us retain our business. And we luckily we have recovered from COVID, and now we are struck again. I know that, but I think it is not a concern for us anymore, because we know that people will always require eyeglasses, and the need for eyeglasses is growing as we are more digitizing. I'll give you a stat, which is very, very important.
Which is also my next question, right? But a very interesting transition, Shivi, a very interesting transition from, say, going retail first and now literally becoming a D2C brand. And, and retail sort of essentially helps you, essentially helps you channelize and deliver better, right? I think it's a digital first brand now is what I see.
Yes.
And I think that's possibly what COVID has done to you, right? And in a positive way, more importantly, right?
Yeah.
That is amazing. Shivi. Shivi, I think, some of these points that you've already highlighted, some of the problems that you highlighted, which you sort of researched on early in your career, right? But how large is the market? I mean, I want to understand the perspective, right? How large is the market? And of course, there are growing trends, right? Which are, of course, watching, being more on screen and, and all of those problems. But there are also other health issues. For example, lifestyle issues are growing, and that has a direct impact on your eye and your quality of sight, and so on and so forth, right? A lot of that is also increasing, right? And that has also increased in COVID, right? So why don't you take me through, how the numbers, played out in say last few years, and what's expected to be the impact of this entire thing, right, on the eyesight market?
So eyewear market globally is a very, very huge market. But if I talk about India, 2018, I'm giving you stats here that India market was $7 billion, and India's market share in the global eyewear market was only 6%. And there has been sorry?
But 16% of the world population.
Yeah, no, 6% of the entire market share. So I'm talking about the market size.
Sure.
$7 billion was India market, and we are expecting in 2024 it to be close to $14 billion. So it will double up. I'm talking about India, and India's market share in the world's pie chart would increase to 12% from 6%. So the market is growing really, really strong. The population is huge, due to which it actually complements. So close to 550 million people in India require eyeglasses, which is around 55 crores. Almost our 40% population or 50% population. So there's a huge set of new customers which are coming up. I would share a stat with you. China has close to 50%, 48% kind of an incidence level. So incidence level is that out of 100 people, how many people would require eyeglasses? Now, eyes is an occupational hazard. Okay. So if you have your near vision work, you are involved into near vision work, you are involved, your eyes are very much exposed to your screens or any kind of work, your eyes will deteriorate faster. So we are talking about vision correction here. I'm not talking about any kind of disease or any kind of tertiary mechanism. We are talking about primary eye care. So so the first part of our eye is lens, and lens gets hardened as much as it is used or it is exposed. Plus it is age specific also. So we have a stage called as presbyopia, which happens with everyone. It happened as per the age. So once we cross our 40s or 45 years, our lens gets little thickened, hardened, and we are not able to focus easily. That is where we get plus powers or near vision reading glasses. So China had 48% incidence level, and India had close to 20 to 23% incidence level. This is, I'm talking about 2010, 2011.
Okay.
Now India is moving towards 35% kind of an incidence level, which means India's population, close to 35% people would require more eyeglasses as compared to 20% initially. And talking about kids, initially India had an incidence level of close to 5 to 6%. Right now in kids, which is, I'm telling about less than 10 years old, incidence level in kids in India is close to 15 to 16%. So which means in, let's say, 10 years from now, we are talking about 50% of the population of India would require eyeglasses. And that's a huge market. That's that's a massive market. And I think I think COVID has just accelerated that with a speed of 100x kind of, and everyone is on screen, everyone is digitized, and that has happened to China. So China is hugely digitized kind of a country. Everyone, if you go to any smaller town, any village, any countryside, you'll see people hooked on their mobile phones. Similar has been the incidence with India, with a lot of short video platforms coming up, a lot of content creation coming up. It has actually aggravated the usage of eyes, and it has actually helped the business to grow. And you would see, I would tell you the stats. Titan's the eyewear business has grown with 25 to 27% annually, while their jewelry business has only grown with 0.5 to 1% annually. So that has been the growth in eyewear. If you look at Lenskart numbers or other players' numbers, their revenues have doubled. And that is why we think that we are talking about tier one players. We are not talking about unorganized segment, because we do not have data to support that. When we talk about 600 cities or 700 cities, which are smaller towns and cities of India, we are talking about $10 billion kind of a market opportunity, which is completely untapped, which is completely unorganized. And if you go to small towns and cities, you won't get that kind of experience. And while we are talking about the market, we should talk about the consumers who are now becoming very much aspiring. And we are talking about smaller towns. Young population drives the consumption of their entire family. Kids drive what their parents should wear. Kids drive what their parents should eat. So when youth drives this, and youth is very much aspiring, there is a huge opportunity for this sector, especially in the smaller towns, where we can provide a standardized product and service at an affordable cost.
So, Shivi, but that was actually one of my questions that I wanted to ask, and you've covered that beautifully, right? Which was between organized and unorganized consumption, right? And how, this is something which is becoming a lifestyle play, right? And how also, this lifestyle is becoming your aspirational, segment, right? When you started from where you did, but now it's moving into an aspirational category, right? Where you are looking at, how influencers are behaving, and, who's giving influence, and so on and so forth, right? And possibly, building strategies around that. Shivi, you spoke of Lenskart, right? I mean, if you think of, a brand which is, I think a very horizontal or horizontally available across all markets, it's constant, is Lenskart, right? You compete with them, right? And possibly a few others, right? What's the competition landscape like, and how are you cutting it different? How is ClearDeco differentiating itself vis-a-vis that bit?
So I would like to say here that we do not directly compete with Lenskart or tier one brands. Okay. We have a very different kind of a target market. We are focusing on low income mass market consumers, which are primarily watchmen or taxi drivers, or let's say maids, or let's say people, families where one person is earning and three others are not earning. So kind of a very limited kind of an income levels, but huge densely populated areas. So we are targeting our product and offering for the areas where there is no availability, one, and where there is no affordability. So I would not say that we'll directly compete with these brands, but yes, we directly compete with local optical stores, and that is where we have believed that we want to work with the ecosystem, and that is where we have increased our or evolved our business to include those, and we convert stores. So we are the only ones in India in eyewear market who convert local optical stores. So we don't want to battle out with them. the market at large is close to 70,000 stores to 100,000 stores, which are unorganized stores. These are local optical stores, and these are bread and butter for those families, of those people who are running those stores. We don't want to kill that. We want to include them in the ecosystem, and we want to improve their offerings, their services. Ultimately, you want to shop from your local neighborhood optician, where you already have trust, but you want a better product, you want an affordable product, and you want a very standardized service. So let me give you an example. You go to a small, let's say Sharma optical store in a small town like Rai Bareli, or let's say Eta, okay, very, very UP stick kind of, okay. He'll show you hardly 10 frames. He'll do an eye test, which is not, which is very, very quick, and which is not very comprehensive, and he'll just tell you, boss, एक नया लेंस आया है, ये नया फ्रेम है, आप टेंशन मत लो, आप तो हमारे पुराने कस्टमर हो, ये हो गया. And eventually you thought that यार कितना पैसा देना होगा, 1,000 रुपए में तो हो जाना चाहिए, या 700 रुपए में हो जाना चाहिए. Ultimately you are paying 1,500 rupees or 1,700 rupees because that local optician is trying to cash out his existing portfolio, and you eventually somehow not happy with the product, but you don't have choice, so you have to get the product. So that is the core consumer life cycle. Vis-a-vis, I'll give you a different scenario where you go to Sharma optical store. You already know that your eyeglass will be in the range of 799 or let's say 1,000. It will not go beyond that. Whatever may be your prescription, whatever may be your within that zone, within that let's say spherical quotient. So so that is called a standardization. That is called as transparency. And now you have, let's say, options of 100 frames which are fashionable, which you have been seeing on your all the platforms or all your Bollywood celebrities, what you wear, and you want to wear them, and they are affordable. So we are trying to create this kind of experience, this kind of product variety and affordability within that same store, which has been there for last 20 years. So we want to include these local optical stores. We want to include the ecosystem. We want to evolve the ecosystem because it is very easy to do that. One, I'm not saying that it is very easy from the business perspective, but it is easy from the asset perspective. We do not need to create more assets. We do not need to invest in terms of properties. They are already properties, so it is easy to scale there. Because see, why we started Clear Deco, we don't want to dilute the entire vision here. We don't want to build a brand of 50 stores or 100 stores. We want to scale this opportunity, and we want to penetrate deeper in the smaller areas where there is no service, no standardization available. So that is the first promise we want to cater to. So otherwise competition has been really healthy. Business has grown, the entire industry has grown, and in fact Lenskart and other brands which have come up have only helped the business or the market grow. They have not created a trouble for anyone, and I am a very strong believer of competition creates markets, they don't kills them.
So no, I think also the fact, I think Shivi, I think it's a very clearly cut out play, right? I think everybody is chasing their own segments, right? Within a very large market, and I think that's something which is visible to say. But Shivi, what you sort of highlighted, right? I like some of those bits and pieces that you highlighted. I mean, there's some hacks that you've not that you've highlighted them explicitly, right? But I can visualize some of those hacks that you've put in place, right? And what I particularly like is the fact that you are creating a win-win with the local seller, right? And it's which is very different from a very typically venture funded company, right? Which is there to recreate that entire model of delivery, right? And essentially also disrupting the existing players, right? And here you are, you're enabling them. You're saying that, listen, you could have possibly whatever errors, and we help you rectify from sourcing and branding and consumer availability and so on and so forth, right? And I think that's a phenomenal balancing act that you've been able to build in the process.
So in fact, I would say that we have experimented a lot, and we have failed hundreds of times, and we have learned from our mistakes. One of the मतलब मैं बहुत कोर फील्ड लेवल का बंदा हूँ, और मुझे ना कुछ ऐसी चीजें करने में मजा आता है जिसमें पैसा कम खर्च हो और इम्पैक्ट ज्यादा हो. So हम लोग क्या कर रहे थे, हम लोग so I am of a very high advocate of personalized services.
Right.
So I think that the world is more personalized. People want attention to themselves. People want brands to attend to them as if they are the only customer available for them, and while they don't want to pay heavily on that. So that is where the value is. So we were doing iCamps. We are a core iCamp driven company. हम
Right.
लोग अपना जो मार्केटिंग चैनल है हमारा, वो प्रॉपर बीटीएल फोकस्ड है, एटीएल फोकस नहीं है. हम लोग ये नहीं बोलना चाहते हैं कि आप हमारे यहाँ आओ, हम लोग ये बोलना चाहते हैं आप आई टेस्टिंग करवाओ और उसके बाद देखिए कि आपको जरूरत है या नहीं. सो we were doing these iCamps across our stores, and we were trying to drive footfalls to our stores and trying to educate people about Clear Dekho, how Clear Dekho is different. And now your regular optician, which is a Clear Dekho outlet, is a more affordable and a more standardized place to shop eyewear from. So we thought we were doing our weekly reviews, and हमारी टीम के साथ डिस्कशन होता है, यार फुटफॉल कम हो रहा है iCamps में, और iCamps कहाँ पे लगाएं हम लोग. सो वन ऑफ देम टोल्ड मी कि बॉस आप एक काम करिए सर, मैं पंडित जी को जानता हूँ, वो हमारे मंदिर समिति के हेड हैं, आप मंदिर में iCamp लगा दो सर. तो आई वॉज रियली शॉक्ड इनिशियली. आई सेड नहीं यार, मंदिर में करना सही नहीं रहेगा, बिकॉज वी आर मतलब आई डोंट नो व्हाट काइंड ऑफ पीपल विल कम, वेदर पीपल विल ऑब्जेक्ट टू दिस काइंड ऑफ एक्टिविटी. एंड देन दैट गाय सेड, सर आप एक्सपेक्टेशन मत रखिए कोई भी. हम एक्सपेक्टेशन के बियॉन्ड जाके सर्विस करते हैं. इट इज लाइक दैट, इट इज मोर ऑफ अ सेवा रादर देन अ वर्क. सो हम लोग आंखों की जांच कर रहे हैं, और सर सारे ओल्ड पेशेंट्स या ओल्ड पीपल कम टू मंदिर 2 times a day, every day, because they are now praying for a long life. So we have to be present there, and we did a camp 7 a.m. in the morning sharp, and 9 to 10 a.m. in the morning, 3-hour camp. We had a turnout of 175 people, boss. 175 people, zero money spent. Mandir didn't take anything from us. We gave a donation to them from our perspective, but there was no expectation. We didn't expect any eyeglasses to be sold that day. We just told them that, sir, we are doing this free eye checkup service here, and please visit us and get your eyes tested. And we gave them prescription, we gave them advice free में, और हम लोगों ने उन्हें बताया आपको चश्मे की जरूरत है, अगर आपको लगे तो आप हमारे स्टोर पे आ सकते हैं या आप हमें घर पे कॉल कर सकते हैं. एंड वी हैड अ ह्यूज सक्सेस रेट. Post that, we did iCamps in gurdwaras, we did iCamps in masjid. We are a core company which involves मंदिर समितिज एंड लोगों के साथ गुरुद्वारा समिति होती है, ग्रुप्स होते हैं, रिलीजियस ग्रुप्स होते हैं, उनके साथ मिल के काम करते हैं हम लोग. लोगों का सपोर्ट मिलता है, हम लोगों को एडिशनल सर्विसेज मिलती है. हम लोगों को जहां पे हम पैसा इन्वेस्ट करते थे, हम लोग ट्रैवल में पैसा इन्वेस्ट करते थे, हमें ट्रैवल फ्री हो जाता है. हम लोग अदर इक्विपमेंट्स को, जैसे चेयर्स टेबल्स को करना होता था, वो लोग फ्री में दे देते हैं यूजेज के लिए. सो आई थिंक इट इज अ फैबुलस अपॉर्चुनिटी which evolved, which came out by accident, and we never planned for it, and it has contributed tremendously to our success towards our store sales and our business brand building. So I think we position ourselves as a family brand. We are for everyone, for your kid, for your young women, men, your beta bahu, your bhai behan, your mata pita, everyone. We don't want to position ourselves as a youth driven, fashion oriented brand, because I think we need to be very clear that there is no marketing gimmick with the people at the bottom of the pyramid. Okay, either you sell to them, either you sell value for money product to them, or you go to hell. People do not want to they don't give a damn about your brand. They don't give a damn about your success story or your startup or your business. They want 400-500 रुपए में चश्मा, and that's it. If you can give it clear cut, no marketing gimmicks, please. If you can deliver it day in and day out, you have a very huge market to cater. So I think that has been the core learning.
Shivi, I had a lot of discussions, right? And, I am personally, I love the possibility of Bharat, right? There is a lot of, everybody's talking about it. There's a lot of conversation which is happening, right? Very few really understand how to tackle Bharat, right? And I think, I like the way you are, you blended those nuances, right? With the product, right? Being out there, doing those camps in mandirs, doing them in bhajans, so many other things, right? It is just so amazing, right? And I think also the fact which gets highlighted in the which you not really talk about, right, is that it takes a tier two mindset or a tier three mindset, right, to crack Bharat, right? Possibly which is in your roots, because there is a lot of observation that you've had, and a lot of things have not really changed. I think which is very important when you're building for that. And I think we'll cover that in some of the questions, right? But I think what you also highlighted, what I particularly like is how do you build trust using existing ecosystem elements, right? For example, when you're doing it in a mandir, right, you are essentially highlighting that we're there for the right cause, right? When you're doing it in a Gurdwara, you're essentially establishing that we are here for service, right? And I think what you're creating in the process is a strong recall. And these are very interesting facets of your play plan, right? Or the playbook, right? What are some of the other things that you've done to build that trust? Because healthcare is something, and this category that you're in requires that core healthcare. I mean, Sharma ji store which did Chashma, right? Irrespective of whatever it charged, right? It became a go-to point because there was a certain trust that was established, right? Creating a trust, and money, of course, is of course one point where you're very clearly defining it and all that, right? But Sharma ji's existed for the longest time. He's been the family eyewear brand for the longest time, especially in a tier two environment, right? What are some of the other things that you've really sort of done to create and improve that trust element around Cleardic, right? That this is my guy. Brands, the biggest problem is they go cold beyond a certain point, right? I mean, there is no one Sharma ji which is available, right? Who's going to attend to you? And you highlighted some of those points, right? But what are some of those points that you've done to create?
I think sure. When we build a trust, the most important thing is that how do you cater to your customer? How do you gel with your customer? You
Right.
try to address his issues rather than just selling your product. So I think
Right.
that has, and we have imbibed that within our company's culture, within our company's fabric of service. We want to attend to customers to address their queries rather than selling our eyeglasses. Eyeglasses is a byproduct which will automatically get sold. So I think that is more important than quality. Quality from our product perspective as well as our eye test perspective. We have a concept of feedback on eye testing on parameters from customers, and we have a concept of feedback on our quality of the product which is getting delivered. So there are huge SOPs which are followed at the back end and on the front end of the retail perspective, which have to be addressed properly, and then only we give success. We command success on that particular order. So we monitor each customer and each order individually.
But Shivi, tell me this, right? So, I mean, eye testing is a 5, 7, 10 minute exercise, right? Somebody comes in, you test the eye, and this is not something that they're going to possibly, consume in next, couple of months, right? For sure, right? What are the conversions like? I mean, how do you ensure that the maximization happens? You've done your bit. You've given them the hook, saying that listen, we are here to sort of help you, service you. The agenda is not to buy. Come in and get yourself pre-tested, and So, what percentage translates into, and broadly, right? I mean, I don't want to give the specifics, but broadly, how do you handle the funnel?
We have never had days with less than 80% of the conversions. Each store is approximately at close to 87% to 95% of the conversion rate. See, let me just tell you the most important fact is we are the only brand available in that vicinity. So people has never seen a branded store, a standardized store within their vicinities ever. We are there in Churu, we are there in Neemach, Agar. These are very, very small towns. You would have never seen people going to a branded eyewear store there. So that helps in conversion. One. Second, we always try. We have KPIs which are very well formulated, and we try to assess that how many people in a family are wearing glasses, and how many people have visited your store and got the glasses. We know that eyeglasses is not a a product which you want every month or every second month, you might come again after a year. So we know that how important it is to have the family involved. That is why I told you before also, we are a family optician. So once we crack one guy of the family, we want him to test, get the feedback on our product, use the product, be satisfied, and come back with his brothers, sisters, mother, father, let's say 6 months down the line. We are not expecting him to buy again or come back again to our store next month. So obviously, new customer acquisition is one area which we have to focus on. Having said that, when you have a fair share of your, let's say you have 100 families you're catering to, so which translates to closely, if I talk about bare minimum 2 people from the family wearing glasses, it translates to 200 customers, which you can cater to every quarter or every kind of 6 months. So
interesting.
That is where we try to create our customer orientation.
And do you still wish birthdays?
We do wish birthdays, we wish anniversaries, we wish happy your eye testing days.
Very interesting. Sivi, one related question, right? So Sharma ji, of course, I mean, eyewear is something which is a very, very high margin business, right? Sharma ji had a massive incentive when he used to sort of sell his own stuff, right? Whatever he had, whatever inventory that he had, or whatever how he had inventorized, there were massive margins that he had, right? Be it on the frame, be it on the glass, all of that, right? And repeat sales. When you acquired these players locally, right? What percentage of that business has shifted to you? Is this like 100% book shift which has happened, or is there a certain percentage which is shifted, right? And which could be a higher or lower percentage? And there is a certain percentage of business which continues to operate in a say as a leakage, right? Which is their own business that they continue to run. Is that what's the scene on that front?
So our business model is FOCO, franchise owned company operated, which means even if we convert a store, it completely enters into company's control from the operations perspective, not the ownership perspective. So company do not own stores or assets or inventories, but the company wants to own the operation. So why we are doing that is because ultimately the promise is to give a standardized experience to everyone. होता क्या है कि लोकल ऑप्टिकल सेटअप में जैसी आपकी रिलेशनशिप होगी उस तरह का आपको एक्सपीरियंस मिलेगा और उसी तरह का आपको डिस्काउंटिंग एंड अफोर्डेबिलिटी मिलेगी. सो वी डोंट वांट टू डू दैट. So that's why we take control. All the inventory management is done by us. So no one can sell anything in that store unless it is going through the proper billing channel. Unless they bypass the billing channel, which people tend to do sometimes, then it is a different story. But then we try to mitigate that with the kind of customer feedback mechanism. क्योंकि अल्टीमेटली अब आप वहां पे क्लियर देखो देख रहे हैं तो कस्टमर को ये पता है कि वो क्लियर देखो से खरीद रहा है. अगर वो if any customer will feel cheated, they will immediately talk to Clear Dekho management or Clear Dekho customer support. So then Clear Dekho customer support को पता चल जाएगा कि that particular store में एक particular product या दो product has been sold out of the way. Okay, so that's where we try to get hold of the system. The most important aspect of management here is we and talking about the margins. So eyewear is a very, very fancy margin business. Almost all the tier 1 brands operate at 90 to 100% gross margins. A product which is almost, for example, a glass which people are wearing in the range of 1,000 to 1,500 rupees do not cost more than 100 to 150 rupees.
Right.
Now I'm telling this publicly to everyone, but we have no fear. We are very, very transparent organization and I want public to know. So there is 10x, 15x margin, but then there are overheads also which have to be met. And plus then the repeat purchase is low. That is why the margins are high. So an optician is already based on that. Now, how does Clear Dekho add value is the supply chain. So when you operate your own individual standalone store, you are always dependent on wholesalers, importers, and so many of middlemen who try to supply you only a limited kind of variety and inventory to your store in that particular location. We try to remove that barrier And now we have, because we try to get all the access from the direct manufacturers, so we had huge variety, and plus we reduce the cost of inventory by close to 30% on that individual in store level optical store. So we had although we are creating affordability and we are cutting down his margins from his previous pricing mechanism, but then we are keeping that intact, the margin intact, because we are reducing the cost of the inventory. So we don't want to shed away the margins, because obviously everyone has to earn their and run their show. So, and plus the company's business model is uh, involved around the number of glasses being sold, and
Right.
we take commissions on the base of the sales.
Right.
So and majority of the commissions or majority of the sales is given to the franchisee whose store we are taking up.
Fantastic. What are the next 2 years like, right? Where does the growth come from? I mean, what will the retail setup look like? What will be the how will the D2C play pan out? What is the next 2 years like for ClearDeck? I'm sure
I
they're very
think
exciting. I'm sure they're very
yeah,
exciting.
they are very, very exciting. They're very, very promising. And thanks to COVID, I would not blame COVID for it. COVID has accelerated growth in our business category specifically.
Right.
Although it has been tragic, it has been very, very sad for people around it. But it has been very, very good from the business perspective for eyewear category. And I think the business, if I talk about India's eyewear sector, it will 100% be transformed now going forward. And we see that there's lot of customers, there's lot of penetration coming in the tier 2, tier 3 towns. We are planning to put close to 200 stores. We already have 50, 60 stores up and running, and we are planning to put 200 more stores within these small towns and cities in next 1 year. We are looking at a close to 1,000 store plan in next 4 to 5 years kind of a timeline, and that is where we think that the penetration can be achieved when we go down deeper to the smaller towns.
And how many customers do you see yourself catering in the next 2 years? I mean, I think that's it's a difficult number to sort of make a comment on, but aspirationally, what is the number that you look at? How many families? Let me put it this way: how many families do you look to sort of make them a part of the ClearDeck family?
So I think we are catering to close to 5 to 10 customers every day or per store basis. We want to obviously at least move it to 3 times of this number, and we are looking at least 30 to 40% of the market share of a particular geography. So we talk about Churu. I'm just taking an example here. So we are talking about Churu. So I'm expecting that if there is a population size of, let's say, 2 lakh people in Churu, we are talking about 60,000 people or 70,000 people coming to ClearDeck.
Very interesting. Shivi, it's been a fantastic discussion, right? I mean, you've been an entrepreneur who's been at it, right? You literally, worked on the ground, right? You've been through a very, very, you've run the difficult path, right? What are your top 2 or 3 advices for founders who are finding it difficult, and you know what I mean, right? I mean, early phases are typically very, very difficult, right? I mean, I wanted to reserve this question for the last, right? Because your story is something which is going to inspire a lot of people, right? I think there is nothing that replaces hard work, and I think you've been through that curve of doing extreme hard work, right? While building ClearDeck. What are your top 3 advices for some of the founders who are looking to sort of build on fundraising and the matrices that you should keep in mind? And you can possibly name one each, right, across the category, but I leave that to you.
Believe me, Ashu, it has been a fantastic experience of my life. My family was completely against it, and now they are completely for it. I have my own family members who are working with me on ClearDeck every day without any major expectations. So they are helping me out. So and I'm very, 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 very extremely bullish, like 5,000% bullish on startups, on young kids who want to build their own businesses. We should all. If we want our country to prosper, if we want our people to prosper, and this is the best time in India. We are very, very fortunate to be in India. We are very, very fortunate to be in the times where there is capital available now, there is opportunities available, people and consumers are also now accepting new technologies, new products, new services. That is very, very encouraging. I would not like to lie here. I would be very transparent. It is not easy. It is not a cup of tea which everyone can do, because there's lot of patience, lot of kind of himmat chahiye aapko to go through the journey. It is difficult. It is not easy. It is not at all easy. Everyone's business, everyone's sectors, everyone's challenges would be different. I cannot comment on that, but overall picture, it is very difficult. You have to be. So I think the core traits which I have learned personally from my 4 years journey in startup is, one most important thing is discipline. So if you are disciplined, then only you can value the work which you are doing. Second is time. Do not waste time. अगर आपके हाथ से वो 2 साल निकल गए ना, तो अगले जो 2 साल हैं वो बहुत मैच्योर्ड इकोसिस्टम के हैं. आज अगर एक फाउंडर किसी इन्वेस्टर के पास पिच करने जाता है, उसके पास 10 और स्टार्टअप्स हैं, 10 और बिजनेसेस हैं पैसा लगाने के लिए, एज कंपेयर टू 5 years back. And similarly, there are multiple players within the same ecosystem which are coming up, so you will have more competition. So do not waste time. Do not take time for granted. You have your health also to support that kind of work. You need to work 18 hours a day, 20 hours a day. So you should be healthy enough. So I think time, discipline, perseverance, do not give up ever. Doesn't matter. एक business नहीं चलेगा, एक stream नहीं चलेगी, एक business का एरिया नहीं चलेगा, तो दूसरा आएगा, इवॉल्व होगा. कोविड ने बहुत सिखाया है. सो अब तो डर बचा ही नहीं है. सो जब कोविड से लड़ लिए, तो उससे बड़ा तो कोई आई हैव नेवर सीन अ मेजर हिकअप anyone would have faced in their life, both from family perspective and from work perspective. So I encourage everyone to take that step. Whoever is happy in their jobs, they haven't seen the happier side of being successful in startups. It is divine. You cannot you need to go through the journey only to experience it. No one can express in words. It seems very, very fascinating when you hear stories from all the giants, Vijay Shekhar Sharma, Kunal Shah, and everyone. But it takes the real essence comes from when you experience it. I think business side, you have to be very, very thorough. You have to be very, very on ground. You have to be very, very fact driven. When you build your businesses, you have to be very, very number driven. You don't want to mess around a lot. Having said that, don't just avoid experiments. You need to do experiment, but you do not to be more foolish. You have to be little smart around it, fact oriented. And from fundraising point of view, I would say that if you're creating value, if you think आपकी research अच्छी है, आपने वो काम किया और आपको लगता है customer को वो चाहिए, एक बार नहीं, 2 बार नहीं, तीसरी बार इन्वेस्टर आपको मिल जाएंगे, आपको फंडिंग मिल जाएगी. Do not be very, very desperate for funding. It creates a lot of hassles rather than it solves hassles. So there's a lot of expectations from investor side which you have to fulfill, which early stage founders do not understand, late stage founders understand. And I understand that we have responsibilities towards our investors as well as customers. So don't rush. Little slow, but you will get it. Don't worry. So I don't think there is much challenge in fundraising as compared to 10 years back now. For early stage, I would say, even late stage, we have a lot of investors now believing to invest money. A lot of traditional individuals who have started putting up their money in the businesses. So I think it is a very, very positive world out there. Just grab the opportunity and just go through it, and that's it.
Shivi, thank you so much for such an honest discussion and such a positive discussion. I think what you represent is endless hope, right? And I think that's something which is so much more required, I think, in this time of sadness and in this time of difficulty, right? But I think as an individual with an aspiration, you have to keep your chin up and keep working hard, right? And then that also sort of keeps the team aligned, keeps the people around you motivated, right? And I think like you said, it's about a lot of perseverance. It's about a lot of discipline, right? And I think that really helps you, get to the nicer side of entrepreneurship, right? And those unlimited dividends that it has, and more importantly, the happiness of building something, which is going to last beyond you, right? So thank you so much. It was a fantastic discussion.
Thank you,
Shri.
Ashu. It was super amazing to chat with you, and I'm always there to help anyone and everyone. I want people to prosper. I want my country to prosper.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful.
Thank you, Ashu. Thank you so much. Bye.